Now, so good morning, everybody. It's so lovely to see you. I didn't know how many people I'd have this morning because I didn't send out a newsletter and we didn't post anything yesterday about it. Solidarity with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, which has asked people not to be posting on Instagram right now. It's an intense time, and I want to address that this morning in the practice, not by giving you a soliloquy about my views, which I don't think is appropriate, but to use the breathing to address things. Now, we're all in different positions. I'm American, so it might be that this is more in my direct consciousness, but speaking to all my British friends, I think not. I think what's happening in the States and the acknowledgement of systemic racism, which makes me very emotional, and I might cry during this, but I'm okay with that because I think it warrants tears, is something that I want to address. I don't want to put it and sweep it underneath the carpet and just have this pretty session today where we don't talk about what's really going on. And so I thought, well, what can I bring to this in the breathing session? What can I offer this morning? And so that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do. So I think there needs to be a lot of heart energy coming in a variety of different ways. I think that heart energy needs to be for ourselves because there's a lot of pain and a lot of sadness around what's just happened, around the pandemic. It is probably the most intense time globally in my life, and I imagine in many of your lives. We're all different, right? Maybe not in your individual life, but globally. And so I think we need some heart energy for ourselves. I think we need to be brave and face some pain. And I think that the world needs our heart energy as well. So it's a combination. But if we just go straight to the heart without stability, we can feel bowled over. We'll end up, I think, in tears the whole time, like I started right now. So we need some grounding first. And then after we open this heart energy piece, we're going to work on some alternate nostril breathing, which I've only taught one other time on this session. And the reason is that it really works with kind of controlling and sequestering the energy. And I think that that's vital for all of us right now. And we want to do different things. We want to use the energy we create within ourselves in different ways, for ourselves, for others, for the community. So I'm just going to help you to create it within your own system through guidance, and then you can do with it what you think you should be doing with it. Okay? So thank you for showing up with me this morning. And we are going to use the Ujjayi breath. It does have power. I always teach it to be very light because a lighter Ujjayi breath provides more calming for the nervous system. Right? If you don't know what Ujjayi breath is, don't worry, you'll know what it is in a second because I'm going to teach it. But if you feel that your system is calling on a pulling of more energy, you can make that breath louder and more fiery, as is done in some of the other systems of yoga like Ashtanga and Jivamukti. I leave that to you. If you need real calming energy, don't make it stronger. And if you feel you need strong energy to manage what's happening for you and for the world, then you can make it louder. So for those of you already familiar with Ujjayi breathing, I'll ask you to just do it for the next 2 minutes while I teach newbies about how to do it. So it involves making a noise, and it sounds like this. That's quite a loud form. It can be much lower. It can be. If you're new to it, you should probably just focus on the exhale, right? And again, for those of you that know how to do it, you can just have your eyes closed and you're practicing. But for newbies, I want you to take a mirror, well, your hand, but you're imagining it's a mirror, in front of your hand, in front of your face, rather. I want you to inhale naturally and exhale as though you're fogging it up. which we sometimes do when we fog things up, but let's try that twice more if you're doing it with me here. And finally. Now, when we practice Ujjayi breath, it's by and large through the throat. Through the nose. My mind is with lots of things, I apologize. It's through the nose. So we want to close the mouth. And one of the ways that really supports us making this noise without doing a reverse sniff is we put the first middle finger on the throat, right? And we imagine we're actually breathing out of the throat rather than the nose. So you can breathe in naturally through the nose and then out through this nose and the throat on the exhale. And naturally out the nose on the throat. And if you're new, we're just going to practice this way for the next minute. And those of you who have already been practicing, we've got one more minute to go. So again, if you're new, you're inhaling naturally, exhaling out of the nose at the throat, making this gentle ocean-like sound. Especially if you're new, don't make the Ujjayi breath strong. It will probably make you uncomfortable. That takes more training. So you can even take the hands away if you want, inhaling naturally, exhaling through the nose and the throat. And now, with the eyes downcast or closed, we're going to start moving the breath, supporting some grounding energy. So what I want you to imagine is that you're inhaling from the base of your spine up to the crown of your head, and then exhaling from the crown of the head back down. So we're going to be working on the base energy, right? For those of you that are interested in the chakras and yoga, right? We're working on the Muladhara energy, just the grounding energy, if that language is more comfortable. Inhaling up. For those of you familiar with Ujjayi breath, use the Ujjayi on the inhale coming up from the spine to the crown of the head. And all of us using Ujjayi to exhale from the crown of the head through the base of the spine. And if you need calming, if your nervous system feels overwhelmed, make your exhale longer. And so that channel where you're flowing from the crown of the head to the base of the spine should take a little longer than the imaginal of the inhale. If you want more of a rousing energy or more balancing, you can keep the inhale and the exhale basically the same length. You do not need to count so that it's perfect. Okay, and now we're going to move the energy into and out of the heart. So I want you to take a moment before you're focusing on bringing your breathing there to just really bring your attention to the heart center. To imagine that there is a ball of light there. It can be shaped like the heart that we draw if you'd like, or it can just be a ball of light that's round, if that feels easier. And yoga heart energy is green, but I ask you to just have that ball of light be whatever color it feels like your heart is. And now I want you to imagine that breath is coming from the front of your body, that you are inhaling from the ether, from the universe, into your heart, into that ball of light, and giving of yourself on the exhale, offering the breath back to the world. And be very mindful of what it feels like here. Does it feel like you need a little bit more than you can give? And that's okay. If you need a little bit more, you can feel the breath coming in more powerfully and offer it out more lightly. And if it feels like you don't have a lot of room to take in right now, but you need to let out quite a lot, you can do that. And if as you're doing this, it feels like there is pain and sadness, allow it in as much as feels bearable. And it's okay to cry. And if it feels just warm and yummy and lovely, maybe that can pervade your whole body. Allow your heart to feel and do what it needs to. If it's neutral and you don't feel very much at all and you're wondering, what am I talking about? It's not connecting for me. That's okay too. Maybe your heart doesn't feel open or touched at this moment, or you just feel very stable and equanimous. And just continue the breathing. And it might be that you feel you need some additional support to stay present, or just to support the practice. And so I offer up this mantra to you. You can use a different one, which is very basic and neutral. It's just, I call on love as I inhale. I call on love as I exhale. You can say it in your mind. If you say it out loud, it'll be harder to breathe, but you can do that if you'd like. And now we're going to come to the alternate nostril breathing. If you're very congested, I know hay fever has been really bad this last few days, you can just continue with breathing in and out of the heart. But if you are able, you can try to do this. Now, again, if you're familiar and you want to just begin, go right ahead. If it's newer for you or you want guidance. So alternate nostril breathing is exactly that. You breathe in and out of only one nostril at a time. And generally, you have a particular position with your fingers. So I use this one, right, where you tuck in the index and middle finger, and then use the thumb and the ring finger to close off the nostrils. You might use a different one. This is the one I'm going to teach this morning. And you start by closing off the right nostril with your thumb and inhaling through the left. Then closing off the left, releasing the thumb from the right, and exhaling through the right. And then inhaling through the right, close it off with the thumb, releasing the ring finger and exhaling through the left. That's one full round. Now, if you're congested on one side, what you could actually do is you can place whatever side it is, you can place the hand there and lift up through the sinus cavity, and that often helps, right? That might require you do it if it's on the right-hand side with the opposite hand, and then you can continue. And if that feels difficult, you can even do, if you have it on both sides, it with your ring fingers lifting up both sides like this. And if that's still not accessible, we'll come back to breathing in and out of the heart. I happen to be very congested myself, and so I'm going to continue with the heart energy right now. I get terrible hay fever. I do ask those of you doing the alternate nostril breathing to try and inhale for a count of 4, and then exhale for a count of 4. And if you can do it for longer, if that feels easy, go ahead. But if you can try to have it at inhaling 4, exhaling 4, or something more than that, I invite you to do so. Really feel how the energy is moving from one nostril to the other in this controlled way. Think of it not just as breath, but as energy. How in each cycle of this alternate nostril breathing, you are making the energy of your breath laser sharp. And we need this sharp energy to work with our own minds to transform them and to support society. But we start with grounding in heart so that we can do it with clarity, love. We're going to do one more full round. That means if you're in the middle of that round, finish it, and then start an entirely new one. And the left nostril going all the way back to the left nostril on the exhalation. And I'll know you're done because you've simply released your hands down to your lap. And now I want you to take, if you have finished, if you haven't, don't worry, don't rush, that more laser sharp energy, and again, bring it into your heart. But this time, we are not going to be controlling the breath. I want you to engage in natural breath, inhaling and exhaling from the heart, as though your nose were there, as though breath always enters your heart, moving into your lungs and your entire being. And because there is some natural movement in the chest when you inhale and exhale, you can use it maybe as a focus point, even in this short mindfulness meditation that we're going to do together. And just notice as we start the quality of your mind now. Does it feel fast or slow? Does it feel low or high or neutral? Does it feel confused or sharp and lucid? Are you able to focus on the breath and the heart? And it's okay if you feel it as well in your nose or abdomen. It's not like you have to shut it off. It's just You're letting yourself reside somewhere else. You're letting the mind reside somewhere else. And the mind can do that. Might need training, but can learn to focus on anything, really. It's just about cultivating the faculty of focus. And if the mind goes away to other things, because invariably it will, just notice and bring it back to just the inhale into the heart, the exhale out of the heart. This gentle, delicate, very strong heart, all of those qualities mixed together. The life-giving force of breath matched with the life-giving force of the heart and the love-giving force. It is going to be time for this meditation to end. So maybe place your physical hands over the heart center. And if it worked for you before, saying in your mind, or if you want to out loud now, I call on love as I inhale. I call on love as I exhale. Because really, if we were doing that all the time, calling on love, maybe we would find some answers. So many of my friends said, what should I think? What should I do? And I said, I don't know. I think we need to go inside beyond the analytical mind. I don't think we can trust the analytical mind. I think we need to go into wisdom. And thank you all so very much. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I think that it is the yoga community, the mind-body community that needs to really be in support of what's happening right now, because it's about wisdom. Like I said, it's not the analytical mind. And if you practice, hopefully wisdom arises and a knowing of how should I be in this world? How can I help? How can I stand? What should I say? I think becomes more clear. I really believe that if we're involved in mental cultivation, we have a higher level of responsibility to this world, to ourselves, and to the other members of this world. And so that's not to place that on your shoulders, but I think if you are practicing, you can see when you get frustrated and watch and not respond to it. You can see when you get angry, and sometimes you can use that anger for transformation. You cannot just go with the flow, but you can rise up with inside yourself to do what is right moment by moment, even when it's not easy. Because I think that's often why we have injustice in the world, is it's hard, or there's lack of clarity, or we're all selfish. It's a natural part of being human beings. And it overwhelms our ability to do what is compassionate and right. But if we keep practicing, we harness the qualities of those other things, the goodness. So thank you for sharing with me this time. And I hope my words are appropriate. It's always hard to know which ones to say at times like this. So we can have questions or comments now. I have my level 2 pranayama class on Friday. I know some of you are signed up, but you can only, it's a respiratory physiology really in level 2. Only do that if you've done level 1. And then there are a bunch of things next week. I'm not sure what they are, so you can just look. I think there's some stuff I've done before, some new stuff. Oh, and I'm teaching the anxious brain, rewiring of it from 3 to 5 today. I think there's 2 or 3 more spots if you want to join. But anyway, if you do want to ask a question or say something, you can raise the hand on Zoom by toggling below, and there's the participant little icon, and then it will bring up on the right-hand side something that will say raise hand. Sue, I see you've raised your hand, so I'll unmute you, and please share or ask a question.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. It's a lovely thing that you're giving this. We're giving in paid and voluntary ways, and it's lovely for us to receive this from you. Thank you.
Thank
I would like to ask how you, it's a personal question, don't think you have to answer it, fit in your own personal practice when it's so busy.
you. It's hard. It's hard, but I am doing it. I'm meditating at night, in the morning, between work, when I'm doing this and that. Yeah. But it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we need to do this for ourselves as well as others. And I just find lots of us, if we can get, I've heard it from other people, people get too busy and we're giving, but that was a lovely thing you said earlier, that this giving and taking, that we need to practice that ourselves. And you're so busy, where you fit it in.
Early in the morning, late at night, in between things. And also I walk Minnie, who's, by the way, it's really funny. As soon as we started breathing into the heart, she was sleeping in the other room. She wanted to be on me. It's like she felt it.
Yeah.
I have to walk her 3 times a day, and then we often end up sitting in the park and I practice and she sleeps.
That's lovely. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
That you're doing this. Thank you. It makes a lot of sense. It resonates with a lot of stuff we're doing, so it's quite affirming. We learn new stuff, but also it's quite affirming of stuff that we're doing. Yeah, good. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Anyone else want to share or ask a question? Or maybe it doesn't feel like words work right now. There are other things. Is there anything else? Okay. Well, if there are no questions, you can also just unmute yourself if you don't know how to use the raise the hand feature. That's also okay with me. But if there isn't anything else, then I will just let you all go and move into your mornings. Yeah. Oh, people are asking questions. Yeah, you can go to YouTube. Actually, it's not Heather Mason, it's the Minded Institute. They'll all be there on the Minded Institute's page. I should add that if this has really touched you as it has me, and you're looking for wise commentary, I put on my Facebook page something from Trevor Noah. He is mixed race man who lives in the United States, but he grew up under apartheid in South Africa. And he actually does The Daily Show, which is a comedy piece in the US, but he's also very big on political commentary. And what he said for me was just so eye-opening. It really shifted my perspective on everything. So I think that it's nice to listen to the community and see what they have to say. And at 5 p.m., Obama is going to address the world, and I've been waiting for him to do that. I'm just unclear if he's addressing it at 5 p.m. British Standard Time or 5 p.m. East Coast Standard Time in the United States. You'll need to look that up. There'll be some other world leaders addressing the planet, and I've been waiting to hear what Obama has to say because I've always loved him, and I want him to stand up and say something. So you might want to watch that. And remember that right now, we're all breathing together. I always remind people of that in some of my courses for mental health, that in moments of lack of clarity and disconnection, we are sharing breath. Nobody is in this world without sharing breath with the rest of the planet. Stefan, I see you have a comment or question. I'm going to unmute you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for this, Heather, and your very personal share also. And what I would like to say is also something quite personal, and maybe it's shedding another light on this situation and this dynamic of what has been unfolding. And that for me, I find that actually in the rubbing of what my quest is about in this lifetime and what I want to learn about the heart and all the things you mentioned, and what's happening in the world, I find for me actually that the rubbing is also has a very positive and helpful process, that I'm really becoming much sharper for what I stand for and really find my place in the world with this, how I can support both myself and the world. And I think it's really important to look at things from this side also, because it shows me how much strength there is inside of me, which otherwise, without the rubbing, I wouldn't have been aware of. You know, so what we think is bad in the world, in inverted commas, is something actually that brings out the best in us also, and as we see everywhere around us. And I think that's a good thing about this whole situation.
Thank you, Stefan, for your comment. Thank you. And thank you for coming this morning. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to say anything? I see you making comments on the side, which is nice. Yeah. And all of you, because you're saying that I inspire love, but all of us do this together. Yeah. Oh, someone's daughter was playing music at the end of the session. It made cry. Yeah. It's a time where the heart feels very sensitive, doesn't it? It's easy to cry. I think we need to cry. It's sad. Things are sad. But we also need to find the strength to just not be lost in sadness, but to act again, wisely, in whatever way we find we can act. And maybe we will see some leadership emerging with clarity that speaks to us as well, that helps us to hone our message. And like you were saying, Stefan, maybe that comes from also just understanding our life's purpose more clearly. I thank you all for being here again. And I'm going to take the embodiment of love for me, lying right here, Minnie for her morning walk. Okay, take good care. Namaste, everybody. I'm going to sign off now.